Coming up on this special Thanksgiving episode of Remember WWII, we meet a 99-year-old veteran whose combat experiences sure gives us a lot to be thankful for. Make sure to watch the full video to hear his incredible stories.
One of the truck drivers got hit in the head, and it tore his head off. 4 German Tiger tanks was patrolling up and down the street right outside, and we just sat still. And when I jumped, he hit me in midair, and down over the bank I went. I almost killed a civilian one time. The squad leader was dead. He had been shot through the head. Let me show you where I was shot.
These are the frontline testimonies of a generation that came together to put their lives on the line to protect our freedoms. We owe it to them to always remember World War II.
Hi everyone, this is Rishi Sharma. I'm the one who interviews all the World War II veterans. Today I'm privileged to be with World War II hero Jack Moran. And I just want to ask you, whoever's watching, please consider supporting my efforts to document the World War II veterans. It costs a lot of money to travel and meet the veterans and videotape them and get the interviews edited. And any donations go towards getting these heroes preserved forever.
I'm a combat veteran of World War II, fought in Europe with George Patton. It'd be great if you people, many of you, would help support Richie's work. He's done a great job for several years. He's one of the few people really keeping alive the memory of all the people who died with me, protecting everybody's rights and protecting our democracy. If you could help, that would be just most appreciated. And he'll continue to do this great work, and you'll be helping, impressing a great number of people and getting them to know about the sacrifices that were made to keep this country safe. So please help.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that, sir. People like Jack Moran deserve to live forever, and with your help, he can. These stories will go on for eternity, educating future generations about the true sacrifices made by a bunch of young kids who are willing to put their lives on the line so we wouldn't have to.
Amen.
And God bless the World War II veterans. Please, everyone who is watching this, please consider donating or becoming a Patreon member to help me interview more World War II heroes. For as little as $5.50 a month, you can get access to full-length interviews, exclusive bonus content, your name in the credits, and so much more. I would like to thank the generous sponsor of today's video, Mr. James Wheaton. He truly cares about the World War II veterans and preserving their stories. Hopefully other people do too. Thank you again, sir. And now let's meet our World War II hero.
My name is William Wood, and I was a rifleman in 318th Infantry Regiment, Company C. What was happening? See, I was in Patton's Third Army. At that time, the Germans was receding, and Patton would go to a town, and then we'd have to come back and mop up behind him and go through them towns. And some towns there was hardly any opposition, and some towns we had to fight for them. We was up on a mountain and looking down into the valley, and B-17s was bombing the town down there, and it was tremendous. Wave after wave of B-17s came in, and they just leveled that town. I remember that real well. you know, a rifle can kill you, but when the big stuff starts coming in like that, a hole in the ground is the most wonderful thing in the world. I remember one time when we were getting ready to get on trucks to move somewhere, and we was under fire, artillery, and one of the truck drivers got hit in the head, and it tore his head off. But we saw him sitting in the truck. I'm sure he was strapped in, and he was just sitting there with no head.
I mean, you're such a young man at that point. You're all of 20, 21. What does that do to you, seeing stuff like that?
You couldn't dwell on it. You had to think about what you was going to do next. I remember that so well. I remember another time when we was running across an open field, and you could see one burst here and a burst here, and you have to keep on going. That's all, you know. But that artillery fire is something else. When those shells start bursting around you, that hole in the ground is a wonderful place to be. I remember one time I was in a deep hole. We had dug a hole, and we was in it, the two of us, and I had taken my pack off briefly and laid it up on the edge of the hole, and when I got to put it on, it had flak that had torn through it. So that's how close it was to coming through us. Well, I remember one incident where I was closest from here across this room to Germans that was going over ahead of us, and I remember shooting one, but I don't. He kept going, so I don't know whether I hit him or not. But I was a pretty good rifle shot. But I remember that incident real well. I've been to a lot of German houses in these towns, and I've never seen a booby trap. But I'll tell you this, I almost killed a civilian one time. We were in a town going from house to house, and I kicked the door open, and an old man threw up his hands. I came with this instant of killing him because I was ready to shoot anything in there, and I was so proud I didn't shoot him.
What made you pause for that second?
I don't know. But I was ready to shoot whatever moved in there, and I didn't shoot. And I remember that real well. I remember one time that it was late in the evening, and we was in a town. I looked, and 4 German Tiger tanks was patrolling up and down the street right outside, and we just sat still. We was holed up in a house, and you could look out the window and see these tanks closest from here out to the street, going up, 4 of them. I guess they was looking for us.
What happened?
Did nothing happen. I don't know where they went, but there was no fire anyway.
That's incredible, sir. I mean, it's incredible what you experience. It's like out of movies.
I remember one instant. It was kind of funny. We was in a house. Looking out a window, about 150 yards away, a German soldier. It was in an alley, and he would come out and run across the alley. and then a few minutes later, he'd go back, and he did it numerous times. So you sat there and hold your gun, but the time you saw it, it was too late to shoot at him. But anyway, he was a decoy. He was trying to draw our fire, and we had machine guns that came right through the room where we were over our heads.
Because one of you guys fired at him.
Yep.
And so they figured out where you guys are.
Yep. I remember that incident real well, that how lucky we could have, if those machine gun bullets would have been lower, we could have all been shot. I can't remember ever being really scared. I just felt like I wasn't going to be hit.
Could you elaborate on that? Did you have a strong faith, or?
Well, I just never let it come to my mind that I was going to be shot.
You know, it looks like someone's been looking out for you.
Yep, I really think, and when we get to a little bit further, I'll explain it a little more. Let me tell you about the story. I got shot in Kassel, Germany, by a German soldier. We entered Kassel, Germany in late afternoon. We was walking down the street 10 yards apart on both sides of the street when the Germans opened fire. Of course, we hit the dirt, and the lieutenant sent our squad around to see what was happening and where the fire was coming from. We walked up and we came to this railroad yard, which had numerous tracks. It was 15, 20 tracks across there, which was a long distance. The squad leader said, "I'm going to the little building right over there on the other side of the tracks. Come one at a time when I get there." Well, he went in the building and he yelled back and said, "I'm hit." Well, I took off and I went over there, and the squad leader was dead. He had been shot through the head, through his helmet one side and came out the other. And he had to be shot twice, I know, because he couldn't have yelled back after he was shot in the head. So the squad came up into the little building, and I took over and I said, "I'm going to that doorway right at the bottom of this bank. Come one at a time." And when I run out, there was a wire which was a couple feet off the ground, and I had to jump. And when I jumped, he hit me in midair, and down over the bank I went. So anyway, I came close to the door where I was going to, and I went in the building, and a German soldier came in the back door, and my buddy killed him with the BAR. So anyway, and this is something I didn't think of. The medic was with our squad, and that is I didn't know the medic, and I didn't know why. I wondered if the medic hadn't been there, what would have happened to me, because the squad had to keep going. And they left, and the medic stayed with me. And he did whatever he did. He stayed with me. when darkness came, they put me on the back of a Jeep and transported me back to the field hospital. There, along with other wounded soldiers, they put me in an ambulance, and the next morning I was back in France. At, sometime that day, a C-54 hospital plane came in, and they loaded me on the plane and flew me to England. And from there, I stayed for over 2 months. I was put in traction, and the worst thing about it was laying there in bed. My wound didn't bother me as much as being an active person. I was no longer active. I was mobilized, immobilized, and I was laying there in bed with traction being hooked onto me. And I stayed that way for over 2 months. They put a full body cast on me and put me on a ship and transported me to South Carolina. I remember it took 2 weeks, and the ship's name, if I remember right, was the Ernestine Coranda, supposedly was the first nurse killed in World War II. We landed in South Carolina, carried us off of the boat, and I looked around and I saw a boy that I graduated from high school, a man from Luray who had been shot out over Germany. He was in the Air Corps and had been a prisoner. I was hit just above the knee on my right leg. I was jumping the wire at that time, and the bullet traversed up and came out near my hip, and it tore the femur completely up, and they had to kind of rebuild that. I felt like if I had not jumped that wire, I would not have been shot in the leg. I could possibly have been shot in the upper region of my body somewhere. And I think that saved my life. And I'll tell you something else. I didn't realize it, but what would have happened to me if the medic had not been with our squad? The squad couldn't stay. They had to leave. So I was fortunate a second time with the medic being with our squad when I got hit.
What did it feel like, Mr. Wood, when you get hit with a bullet in your leg?
Well, you change from a strong individual to a nothing, you know. But I still had a sense about me. I still knew what I had to do, and I did it. But of course, when I got hit, I don't know what happened to my rifle. It was probably up on the bank somewhere where I got shot. But my rifle was, I don't know whether they ever picked it up or not.
Yes, sir.
But they had to come because my squad leader was dead in the little building at the top of the bank.
When you say that the squad leader was dead, was he in the building itself or just outside of it?
No, he was in the building. He had gone in the building. There was a window out the back, out on the side towards the building where we were going to when I got shot. But I feel like he probably got shot just before he went in the building. And then he looked out the window and got shot through the head. That's my theory, but I don't know that to be the truth.
Could you please talk a little bit about your squad leader? What kind of man was he?
He was a great guy. He always went first, and follow me. Let me show you where I was shot. The bullet entered my leg just above my knee and came out next to my hip, and it tore the femur up, and that's what my problem was, with a torn femur. And another story I'll tell you, when VJ Day came, I was in Woodrow Wilson Hospital, and everybody could go to town except 4 of us who were bedfast. So the nurse pulled our beds together, and we had a beer party. She gave us beer.
There were so many opportunities where you could have been killed.
Yep.
What do you attribute your survival to, sir?
I don't know. Somebody greater than I was looking after me. That's what I think. And he's been good to me all my life.
Could you please tell me, based on your experiences in the war, what you have lived through during the Depression, what is some life advice that you would like to give future generations?
Be good to everybody. Forgive anybody who's done wrong to you. Trust in God, and that's about it. I think anybody that's done you wrong, you should forgive them. The country today is not like the days that I remember. It's changed tremendously. I know that. And I don't think it's for the better. I think it was better back in my days than it is today.
Absolutely. Which is not the way it's supposed to go. As you progress, you're supposed to make things better and better, but you're right. When you grew up, you didn't lock your doors, right?
Right. Hey, we never knew. We had locks on the door, but our doors was never locked. I came home. The first time I came home after I was in the Army, I got off the train. I walked to my house, opened the door. My little dog met me at the door, just like I was coming in the evening. And that's the way it was. We didn't lock our doors for a long time, but I do now. I think my family thinks I'm a decent person, I think. And that's the way I'd like to be remembered, as a person that you're not ashamed of.
Sir, I'm not in your family, but I can guarantee you're not someone to be ashamed of. You're someone to be proud of. You've literally shed blood for this country. You put your life on the line, and I'm sure you are a good father, because if you weren't a good father, I doubt your son would be here. That's true.
Thank you everyone for watching, and please be sure to write Mr. Woods a thank you for your service comment. He will be looking at this video in the comments you all write. God bless the World War II veterans.